billion shadow over LeBron. Stephen Curry didn't just sign a sneaker deal. He fired a warning shot straight into the heart of Nike's empire. And the wildest part? LeBron James may have seen it before everyone else. For years, LeBron has stood on top of the basketball business world like a king in a glass tower. Nike gave him forever, a lifetime deal, a historic commitment, the kind of partnership that tells the world one thing clearly. This man is not just an athlete, he is an institution. Kevin Durant has his lifetime Nike deal too. Michael Jordan already built the blueprint, and for a long time, it felt like every true sneaker legacy had to pass through the swoosh. Then Curry walked in from a completely different door. After more than a decade with Under Armour, after championships, MVPs, iconic shots, global fame, and years of trying to make Curry brand matter beyond the court, Steph finally broke free. And when he did not run back to Nike. He did not slide into the same crowded house with LeBron, KD, and Jordan's untouchable ghost. Instead, he took his name, his logo, his brand, and his future to Li-Ning. That is why this move hit differently. A 1-0-year deal sounds big by itself. But the real story is hidden in what Curry may now control. Basketball products, lifestyle wear, a golf line, stores in the United States and China, the ability to sign male and female athletes under his own brand. This is not just a shoe contract. This is Curry trying to build a global company around himself before his playing career reaches its final chapter. And that is where LeBron's world starts to shake. Because LeBron has power, money, loyalty, and history with Nike. But Curry may have found something even more dangerous. Freedom. The freedom to build outside Nike's walls. The freedom to enter China at a time when Nike is losing ground. The freedom to make Curry brand feel less like a signature line and more like the beginning of a new empire. So now the rivalry has changed. This is no longer just about finals matchups, rings, MVPs, or who changed the game more. This is about legacy after basketball. This is about whose name still sells when the sneakers stop squeaking on NBA hardwood. Before we go deeper, tell me where you are watching from. If you think Curry just made the smartest business move of his career, press 1-inch the comments. If you think LeBron and Nike are still untouchable, press 2. And don't forget to subscribe, because this story is just getting started. The breakup, that changed everything. For Curry, this move did not come out of nowhere. It was not a random phone call from Li-Ning, not a sudden change of heart, and not just a bigger check landing on the table. This story started years earlier, inside a partnership that once looked like the perfect underdog married. When Under Armour signed Stephen Curry, they were not getting the polished global icon people see today. They were betting on a skinny guard from Davidson with fragile ankles, a quiet voice, and a jump shot that most old school basketball people still did not fully understand. Nike had already made its mistake, they let him slip away. Under Armour saw the opening, took the risk, and for a while, it looked like one of the smartest bets in sneaker history. Then Curry exploded. Championships came, MVPs came, the Warriors became a dynasty, kids in every gym started pulling up from 30 feet like it was normal. Curry did not just change how basketball was played, he changed how young players imagined the game. Suddenly, Under Armour was not just selling shoes. They were attached to a revolution, but that is where the problem began. Curry's influence kept growing faster than the brand around him. His game became global. But Curry brand never reached the cultural level people expected. It had the superstar. It had the story. It had the family-friendly image, the championships, the signature celebration, the face every parent trusted and every young shooter wanted to copy. But somehow, it never became what Jordan brand became. It never became what LeBron's Nike line represented. It never felt like the center of basketball culture. And Curry knew it. Behind the smiles, behind the loyalty, behind all the public respect, there was a gap getting wider every year. Curry wanted a brand that could sign athletes, build culture, expand into lifestyle, reach boys and girls around the world, and become bigger than basketball. Under Armour, meanwhile, was fighting its own battle. The company had to focus on survival, discipline, and rebuilding its core identity. That meant Curry's dream and Under Armour's reality were no longer moving in the same direction. So when the breakup finally happened, it felt shocking on the surface, but underneath, it had been building for a long time. Curry did not just leave with memories. He left with something far more valuable. His name, his logo, his intellectual property, and the foundation of Curry brand itself. That changed everything. Because now, Curry was not just another athlete looking for a shoe sponsor. He was walking into the open market, holding a ready-made empire in his hands. Every major brand could see it. Nike could see it, Adidas could see it, New Balance, Puma, Reebok, Li-Ning, all of them understood that whoever won Curry was not just signing a player. They were signing the future of an athlete-owned basketball brand, the sneaker free agency spectacle. Once Curry stepped away from Under Armour, the NBA did not just watch a player change shoes. It watched a superstar turn every tunnel walk, every warm-up, and every game night into a business signal. For months, Curry's feet became the most analyzed real estate in basketball. One night he showed up at Nike, another night Jordan, then Adidas, then New Balance, then Puma, then Reebok, then Li-Ning. To casual fans, it looked like fun. To sneakerheads, it was a treasure hunt. To executives inside billion-dollar sportswear companies, it was something much more serious. It was a public audition. Every pair told a story. When Curry wore LeBron's signature shoes, it looked like respect, and it was. LeBron himself seemed genuinely proud that one of the greatest players ever would lace up his sneakers. But beneath that friendly moment was a sharper question. Was Curry really considering joining Nike's crowded kingdom, or was he reminding Nike exactly what they lost years ago? Because Nike had a chance at Curry before the dynasty, before the MVPs, before the deep threes broke every defensive rule in basketball. They missed. Under Armour won that first gamble. Now, more than a decade later, Curry was back on the open market. Only this time, he was not a rising star with potential. He was a 4-time champion, a 2-time MVP, the greatest shooter ever, and the owner of a brand with his own name on it. That is a completely different negotiation. Nike could offer money. Adidas could offer history. New Balance could offer freshness. Puma could offer energy. Reebok could offer nostalgia. But Curry was not simply looking for someone to print his logo on a shoebox. He was looking for a partner willing to treat Curry brand like a real company. That is what made the suspense so addictive. Fans tried to decode everything. If he wore KD's shoes, did that mean Nike was leading? If he wore Jordans, was he paying homage or negotiating? If he tested Li-Ning, was that just curiosity or a clue? Every choice created rumor. Every appearance created headlines. And Curry played it perfectly, smiling through the chaos like a man who knew the entire industry was waiting on his decision. But behind the playful sneaker rotation, there was pressure. Curry was entering the final stretch of his playing career. He could not afford to pick the wrong partner. This next deal had to carry him beyond the Warriors, beyond the NBA schedule, beyond the moment when the league finally moves on to its next generation of stars. He needed a brand that could help him build something lasting. That is why Li-Ning kept rising in the background. At first, some fans treated it like an outsider. Could a Chinese brand really beat Nike, Adidas, and every major American company for Stephen Curry? But Li-Ning had something the others could not offer in the same way: room. Room for Curry to be the main face. Room for Curry brand to grow. Room for basketball, golf, lifestyle, stores, athlete signings, and a global story that did not place him behind Jordan, LeBron, or Durant. And in the end, that may have mattered more than anything. Curry did not want to be another name in someone else's museum. He wanted to build the museum himself. The sneaker free agency looked playful from the outside, but it was really a power move. Curry made the entire industry wait, made every brand show its hand, and then chose the path that gave him the clearest chance to own his future. Why Li-Ning gave Curry what Nike couldn't? When Curry chose Li-Ning, some fans were shocked. Why would one of the biggest names in basketball pick a Chinese brand over Nike, Adidas, or Jordan? But Curry was not chasing the most famous logo. He was chasing control. At Nike, Curry would have entered a crowded palace. Jordan is the blueprint. LeBron is the lifetime king. Kevin Durant already has his permanent seat. Curry could have made huge money there, but he would still be another superstar inside a house already ruled by legends. Li-Ning offered something different. They did not ask Curry to fit under someone else's shadow. They gave him space to become the main face. Basketball products were only the start. Curry brand could expand into lifestyle, golf, athlete signings, and even stores in the United States and China. That is not just a sneaker line. That is the foundation of a company. And this is why LeBron's world has to pay attention. LeBron's Nike deal is historic, powerful, and almost impossible to match. But it is still tied to Nike's system. His shoes, campaigns, and global reach all move through the swoosh. Curry's path is different. He is betting on a partner that lets him lead, not simply represent. Then comes the China factor. Nike has been losing ground in a market it once dominated, while Chinese brands like Li-Ning have grown stronger at home. Curry stepping into that space gives Li-Ning a global basketball face at the exact moment it wants to challenge the old sneaker order. That is why this deal feels bigger than shoes. It is basketball, business, China, golf, lifestyle, and legacy all in one move. Curry understands his playing career will not last forever. But if Curry brand is built the right way, his name can keep growing long after he leaves the court. That is the real bet. Jordan built something that outlived his playing days. LeBron built an empire inside Nike. Now Curry is trying to build his own version outside Nike's walls with a brand hungry enough to let him lead. The global sneaker war Curry just entered. Curry's Li-Ning deal is not just about one superstar choosing a new shoe company. It is about a global sneaker war that has been building quietly for years. For a long time, Nike felt untouchable. The swoosh had Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, KD, and decades of cultural dominance. If you were a basketball star, Nike was the dream. If you were a young fan, Nike was the language. If you wanted your name to live beyond the game, Nike looked like the safest road. But the world has changed. Chinese brands are no longer sitting in the background trying to copy the giants. They are building their own identity, their own athletes, their own technology, and their own loyal audience. Li-Ning is not just asking for attention anymore. It is trying to take territory, and signing Stephen Curry is one of the loudest statements it could make. That is why this deal hits Nike different. Curry is not just entering China as another foreign superstar. He is entering with his own brand, his own story, and a fan base that already stretches across continents. He is the player who changed basketball for millions of kids. He made long threes feel normal. He made smaller guards believe they could control the game. He made skill feel just as powerful as size. That kind of image travels. For Li-Ning, Curry gives them instant global credibility. For Curry, Li-Ning gives him a powerful base in a market where American brands no longer have the same automatic control. It is a trade of strength for strength. Curry brings trust, legacy, and basketball magic. Li-Ning brings manufacturing, market access, ambition, and the hunger to challenge Nike on a global stage. And that is where LeBron becomes part of the story again. LeBron's business legacy is tied to Nike's power. When Nike is strong, LeBron's brand feels even stronger. When Nike dominates the world, LeBron stands at the center of that dominance. But if Nike starts losing ground in key markets, especially China, then the platform beneath LeBron's sneaker empire does not look quite as unshakable as it once did. That does not mean LeBron is losing. Not even close. He is still one of the most powerful athlete brands in history. His Nike relationship changed the business of basketball forever. But Curry's move creates a new kind of pressure. It shows that the next great athlete empire may not have to be built inside Nike. It may be built beside it or against it. That is the real shift. For decades, the formula was simple. Join the biggest brand, get the biggest campaign, sell the biggest dream. Curry is testing a new formula. Own the brand, control the story, choose a hungry partner, and build in the markets where the old giants are vulnerable. It is riskier. It is less familiar. It does not come with the same safety as Nike's machine. But it also gives Curry a chance to become something different from LeBron, different from KD, and even different from Jordan. Not just the face of a sneaker line, the architect of a global basketball brand. That is why the Li-Ning move feels so dangerous. It is not dangerous because Curry suddenly has better shoes than Nike. It is dangerous because he may have found a better position. Nike already has kings, Li-Ning needed one. And Curry looked at the board, saw the opening, and stepped directly into it. Why LeBron cannot ignore this move? LeBron James has seen almost everything in basketball. He has survived pressure since high school, carried franchises, won championships, broken records, built companies, and turned his name into one of the strongest athlete brands in the world. So Curry signing with Li-Ning is not something that would scare him like a rookie scare, but it is something he has to notice because this move touches the one part of LeBron's empire that is bigger than basketball: legacy business. For 2 decades, LeBron has been building under Nike's roof. That roof gave him protection, power, and global reach. It put him beside Jordan, Kobe, KD, and the biggest marketing machine in sports. It turned his signature line into a symbol of dominance, consistency, and longevity. LeBron did not just sign with Nike. He became part of Nike's identity, but that kind of loyalty comes with a trade-off. LeBron has the security of a lifetime deal, but Curry now has the excitement of a fresh empire. LeBron has the strength of Nike's machine, but Curry has room to shape his own machine. LeBron has history, but Curry has movement. And in business, movement can be dangerous. That is why fans reacted so strongly when LeBron appeared to throw shade after the news. Whether it was serious, playful, or just the internet reading too much into it, the timing made people talk. Because Curry's deal is not just another athlete getting paid. It is a direct contrast to the path LeBron chose. LeBron represents the old winning model. Attach your name to the most powerful brand in sports and become royalty inside that system. Curry represents a newer model. Take your name, your brand, your ownership, and your audience. Then partner with a company hungry enough to let you lead. Neither path is weak, but they are very different, and that difference creates tension. Imagine being LeBron, sitting on one of the greatest endorsement deals ever signed by an athlete. You have the money, you have the prestige, you have the legacy. But then you watch Curry walk away from a major American company, keep his brand, test the market, and land a deal that may allow him to sign athletes, expand into golf, enter lifestyle, and build stores in the United States and China. That is not a small move. That is Curry saying, I do not just want to be remembered as the greatest shooter ever, I want my brand to live like a company. That is the same territory LeBron has cared about for years. LeBron has always spoken about ownership, generational wealth, empowerment, and building something bigger than the game. So when Curry makes a deal centered on control and long-term brand power, of course people connect it back to LeBron. It does not mean LeBron is jealous. It does not mean Curry has beaten him. It means the scoreboard has changed. Their rivalry used to be measured in finals wins, clutch shots, championships, and MVP moments. Now it is being measured in market access, ownership structure, global expansion, and who can create the stronger business legacy after retirement. And that is why this story is so compelling. LeBron may still have the bigger empire today. Nike may still be the larger machine, but Curry has found a lane. LeBron cannot easily enter. He can move faster. He can reshape Curry brand. He can become the centerpiece of Li-Ning's global basketball strategy instead of sharing space with legends inside Nike's system. That is the uncomfortable part. LeBron's greatness is already secure, but Curry's business move forces a new question. What if the next chapter of athlete branding is not about who gets the biggest lifetime deal, but who controls the most meaningful piece of their own future? And for the first time in a long time, Curry may have found an answer LeBron cannot copy. The Jordan brand comparison that changes everything. The biggest comparison in this story is not Curry versus LeBron on the court. It is Curry brand versus Jordan brand in business. Jordan brand is not just a sneaker line. It is a cultural machine. Michael Jordan retired years ago, but his shoes still move through schools, gyms, stores, music videos, collector shelves, and NBA tunnels like he never left. That is the dream every athlete wants. A brand that outlives the player. That is what Curry is chasing. For years, LeBron looked like the modern player closest to that model. His Nike line has history, power, and global reach. But LeBron's brand still lives inside Nike's universe beside Jordan, Kobe, KD, and every other Nike basketball story. Curry is trying to build something different. With Li-Ning, his name is not just another room in the building. His name can become the building. That is why the Jordan comparison matters. Curry does not need to become Jordan on the court. He needs to copy the business lesson, make the brand bigger than the player's active career. And Curry has a story that can travel. He was underestimated. He was not the biggest or strongest. He changed basketball with skill, range, confidence, and joy. For young players, especially smaller guards, Curry represents possibility. He made kids believe they did not need to look like LeBron to dream like LeBron. That emotional connection is powerful. Li-Ning is not only buying Curry's resume, it is buying that feeling. The kids shooting deep threes in the driveway, the young player practicing until dark, the belief that greatness can come from work, touch, and imagination. But the challenge is huge. Jordan Brand took legendary moments, iconic products, culture, timing, and decades of consistency. Curry brand must now prove it can create shoes people want, stories people remember, and athletes who carry the message forward after Curry retires. That is why the right to sign athletes matter. If Curry brand brings in young male and female players, global prospects, shooters, golfers, and lifestyle voices, it stops being only about Steph. It becomes a platform. It becomes a movement. Maybe Curry brand never reaches Jordan's level. Most brands do not. But the fact that people are even making the comparison shows how much the conversation has changed. Curry is no longer just the greatest shooter ever. He is trying to build something that could outlive the game itself. The real risk behind Curry's big bet. But for all the excitement around Curry's move, there is one truth nobody should ignore. This is still a risk. A massive one. Nike is safe. Jordan brand is proven. LeBron's deal is secure. The swoosh has decades of trust, global distribution, and cultural power. When a player joins Nike, he steps into a machine that already knows how to sell greatness. The system is built, the audience is trained. The logo already means something before the athlete even says a word. Li-Ning does not have that same automatic power in America. That is Curry's challenge. In China, Li-Ning has strength, history, and national pride behind it. But in the United States, the brand still has to fight for everyday credibility with casual fans. Sneakerheads may know it, NBA players may respect it, but the average kid walking into a mall still knows Nike first. Jordan, second, Adidas, somewhere close behind, and everyone else fighting for attention. So Curry is not just joining Li-Ning. He is asking American fans to look at Li-Ning differently. That is not easy. A great player does not automatically create a great sneaker brand. Popularity does not guarantee cultural adoption. Curry can bring eyes, headlines, and trust, but the product still has to connect. The shoes have to feel right. The designs have to matter. The stories have to hit. The releases have to feel exciting, and the brand has to avoid looking like it is simply using Curry's name to chase Nike. That is where execution becomes everything. If Li-Ning gives Curry real creative freedom, if the products are strong, if the marketing feels authentic, and if Curry brand signs the right young athletes, this could become a historic move. But if the shoes fail to catch fire in the United States, if the storytelling feels forced, or if fans see it as just another overseas deal, the momentum could fade. That is the thin line Curry is walking. He is betting that his name is powerful enough to change perception. He is betting that his story can travel across cultures. He is betting that kids who grew up copying his jumper will follow him into a brand they may not fully understand yet. And maybe he is right, because Curry has always been a perception shifter. People doubted his body. He changed what strength looked like. People doubted his style. He changed what winning basketball looked like. People doubted small guards could dominate the league. He changed the geometry of the sport forever. Now he is trying to do the same thing in business. Still, this is not a guaranteed victory. It is a gamble with enormous upside and real danger. LeBron's Nike path was safer, cleaner, and more certain. Curry's Li-Ning path is messier, harder, and much more unpredictable. But that is also why it could become more interesting. Because if Curry wins here, he does not just prove he can sell shoes. He proves an athlete can step outside the traditional American sneaker system, keep control of his brand, partner globally, and still build something powerful enough to challenge the old giants. That would change the playbook. Not just for Curry, not just for Li-Ning, but for the next generation of athletes watching this move closely and asking themselves one simple question: do I want to be the face of someone else's empire, or do I want to build my own? The new scoreboard between LeBron and Curry. For years, LeBron versus Curry was easy to understand. It was about basketball, finals wins, championships, clutch moments, legacy debates. LeBron was the force, the chosen one, the all-around machine who could control an entire franchise. Curry was the revolution, the shooter who changed spacing, offense, and the way young players imagine the game. But now, the scoreboard has moved. It is no longer only on the court, it is in boardrooms, brand meetings, product launches, market reports, and global expansion plans. The question is no longer just who had the better prime, it is who is building the stronger future. LeBron's future looks powerful because it is tied to Nike, one of the strongest companies in sport. Nike gave him a kingdom, and he earned it through 2 decades of greatness, pressure, consistency, and global influence. But Curry is trying to build a different kind of kingdom. He is not standing inside Nike's palace. He is building outside the walls, with Li-Ning as the foundation and Curry brand as the flag. That path is riskier, but it is also more personal. If it works, people will not say Curry was carried by a machine. They will say Curry built the machine, and that fits his entire career. Curry has always changed expectations. He was not supposed to become the face of a dynasty. He was not supposed to change basketball's geometry. He was not supposed to become the player millions of kids copied in driveways and gym. Now the doubts sound familiar again. Can Li-Ning really compete with Nike? Can Curry brand matter in America? Can Curry build something that survives beyond his playing days? Those are fair questions, but Curry has spent his whole life answering doubts that sounded impossible at first. LeBron's empire is already real. His Nike story is one of the greatest athlete brand partnerships ever, but Curry has created a fresh storyline that LeBron cannot simply erase with history. LeBron has the bigger castle. Curry may have the open land, and open land matters. It gives him room to design, expand, experiment, sign new athletes, reach new markets, and build without living under another legend's shadow. That is the new scoreboard: control, ownership, flexibility, global reach, and cultural storytelling. LeBron built through loyalty to the biggest brand in sports. Curry is trying to build through freedom, risk, and a partner hungry enough to let him lead. And that might be the most Curry thing he has ever done. The lesson behind Curry's power move. So what does this really mean? It means Stephen Curry's Li-Ning deal is bigger than a sneaker headline. It is about timing, ownership, freedom, and the way modern athletes are learning to think beyond the game. Curry is not only asking what he can earn today, he is asking what he can build for tomorrow. LeBron answered that question with loyalty and power. He tied himself to Nike, the biggest machine in sports, and became one of the most important figures in that empire. That path gave him security, history, and a global platform few athletes will ever touch. Curry answered differently. He walked away from a long partnership, protected his name, kept control of his brand, tested the market, and chose a partner that gave him room to lead. That does not make his path better than LeBron. It makes it different. And sometimes Different is what creates the next chapter. The lesson here is bigger than shoes. LeBron's story shows that loyalty can build something powerful. Curry's story shows that freedom can open doors, loyalty cannot. One man stayed inside the strongest house in the industry and became royalty. The other stepped outside, accepted the risk, and started building new walls with his own name on the front. Both choices take courage. Loyalty is not weakness. It takes trust and discipline to build with the same partner for decades. Freedom is not easy either. It takes nerve to leave comfort behind when the whole world is watching. That is why this rivalry should not be seen as hatred. It should be seen as evolution. LeBron and Curry pushed each other on the court. Now they are pushing each other in business. They are showing younger players that greatness is not only measured in points, rings, or highlights. It is also measured in how you use your name, protect your value, and create opportunities for the people who come after you. If Curry Brand succeeds, it can become a platform for young athletes, male and female, from different countries and different sports. It can show future stars that they do not always have to choose the biggest logo. Sometimes, the best move is choosing the place where your voice matters most. And for LeBron, this is not defeat. His legacy is already secure. His Nike deal remains one of the greatest athlete partnerships ever. Curry's move does not erase that, but it does add a new chapter to the conversation. It reminds the sports world that the next empire may not come from the safest choice. It may come from the boldest one. In the end, Curry and LeBron are showing two different ways to build forever. LeBron built through dominance, loyalty, and the power of a global giant. Curry is trying to build through control, risk, and the courage to step into a new market with a new partner. One path is a castle, the other is open land, and history will decide which one grows taller. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Curry's Li-Ning move will become one of the smartest business decisions in NBA history? Or do you think LeBron and Nike will always remain too powerful to catch? Drop your answer in the comments. If you believe Curry is building the future, type 1. If you believe LeBron's Nike empire still stands above everyone, type 2. And if you love NBA stories like this, the drama, the strategy, the money, and the legacy, make sure you like the video, share it with another basketball fan, and subscribe to the channel for the next one.